You have probably heard about the bro visited his friend meme, or the this f***ing sucks actually meme, but the story behind the creator of said memes are much deeper than you would expect. This is the story of a Twitter user named Fallen Chungus. The story starts with Fallen Chungus. He's seemingly the usual Twitter user who's just trying to make friends and have a bit of fun. That was until the 28th of March, where he posted this short comic, which would absolutely blow up and become a meme across Twitter and eventually on other platforms as well. Little did Fallen Chungus know that this blow up he had would eventually lead to him slowly losing his sanity. After he blew up, a few people on Twitter started making edits of his drawings with certain racist undertones, which made him ask in a quote tweet if he could cease and desist the people making racist edits, which are literally Microsoft Paint drawings. This decision only fueled the fire that had been started, and people started making whole comics in his style, with the main goal being to make him look like a racist bigot and deter people from following and liking his comics. Chungus did go out of his way to clarify that he's not the one making these kinds of comics, but it's the bigots of Twitter who are. But then, on one fateful day, April 9th, a thread goes up on the image board site soyjack.party's raid board. The thread reads, "For a very long time I wanted to make a thread about this artist Islev, known for the unfunny nerve meme. Today I saw a tweet of his that gave me a very jammy idea for a thread on him. Copy his art style and start making racist/transphobic/jammy comics. If you can't draw, you can also edit existing comics. This thread would not only lead to more hateful comics being made on him, but also his eventual downfall." Whilst the Shuds at Soyjack Party were working hard on ways to mess with Chungus, he himself was endlessly arguing on Twitter with other micro e-celebrities and other literal whos. On the 20th of April, Chungus appeared to have finally found the thread made on him, as he made this tweet stating, "Soy is actively trying to dox me, a 17-year-old. It is worth noting that he was only a few weeks away from turning 18 at this point. This, together with the never-ending arguments, made him show some of his mental instability when he posted a very ominous voice recording.
Hey, so I just deleted my server and I left every server. It's that server was something I held very near and dear to me, but there's honestly no point in continuing. For better or for worse, this is the last you're ever going to hear of me. And whether it be tonight, tomorrow, or the day after, I will kill myself. You've won. I'm done trying. There isn't much to look forward to in my daily life. It's these thoughts I've dealt with for as long as I can remember. So, do what you will with that information. I'm leaving. Please don't contact me. Please don't do anything to reach out to me. I'm done. And by the time you do, I'll probably already be dead."
The reason he's talking about his server is that around this time, Soyjack Party would go on to raid said server and spam pictures of gore, which he would address in this tweet. "I heavily apologize for the raid on my server. Lots of fucked up shit was posted and I was too busy at school to be able to moderate it." It was also this way he found out he was being doxxed, hence him referring to the shorty as just Soy, as he likely had no idea of who or where these raiders came from. These tweets would unfortunately go on to backfire on him, as they only drove even more people to the raid thread. And because of that, they completed his dox, which would lead to him posting this a day later.
"You are such a fucking man. No one And I mean, no one fucking likes you. Please shut up.
With this newfound dox, he got his mother's phone number and would start messaging her and calling her to see if he had actually done anything to himself. It was then Twitter user @OBAgain posted a conversation with Chungus's mother, and Chungus's mother was shocked at what her son was saying on Twitter, stating, "What in the fuck? I had no idea he was posting stuff like that." It's also worth to note that during the time that the general consensus of Twitter users was that he might have committed suicide, his Roblox account was online and playing games. Chungus's father's own Twitter page would also eventually be found and discovered to be what the general internet considers a gooner, and likes a lot of tweets from suggestive accounts. Someone also DM'd him with his son's name, and he would confirm in an aggressive response that he indeed was Chungus's father. Now back to Chungus's mother. After discovering what her son had been saying on the internet, including the threat of his suicide, his mother would sign him into a mental hospital for him to finally get help. This time was one of the most difficult for Chungus, as he most likely had little to no access to the internet, and most important of all, Twitter. He experienced withdrawals so bad that as soon as he got out of the hospital almost 2 weeks later, the first thing he did was go on Twitter again. His first tweet was as follows: "Got doxed by the Sharty while I was at the mental hospital. I just got home today. For what it's worth, I'm not coming back, period. I want my story to serve as an example of both what not to do and what to dreadfully expect when you find fame. It's about time I start my own life." He also stated that he wasn't ready for this big of a following, and that he would distance himself from Twitter until he felt ready to handle such an audience. This, as you would expect, was an empty promise, as he, after just over another 2 weeks, started going on as usual, and even made a thread talking badly about his mother and stepfather, which I'm going to read right now. "For anyone wondering, my mom has essentially been controlling my entire life since I got home. Even now, making this tweet is a gamble on whether I get kicked out of the house or not. I don't care. I just want her to realize going cold turkey on the internet won't help me. I'm not making some grand return, but if my plan works, I'll have somewhat of a presence again, and I'll be able to answer DMs on my Discord alts. Otherwise, I'm just waiting to move the fuck out so I can hop back on game dev and do shit that makes me happy. I've been incredibly stressed, and my mom and stepdad simply do not give a fuck and continue to rule with an iron fist over my life. I get internet access is a blessing and a curse, but making this a productive thing isn't hard, and they don't realize that. Regardless, DMs are open. I won't be answering Twitter DMs or whatever. I'm focusing on getting a job and fixing my life. But I can't just fuck off from the internet forever. Platform management literally plays into my career path and stuff, so yeah. Thanks for reading. If you don't hear from me again for like 2 weeks, just assume I'm homeless. I'm willing to take the risk ATP though." This confirms that he is extremely internet addicted and even uses the phrase cold turkey, which you usually use when trying to stop taking drugs. He even stated that he was risking getting kicked out of the house, which shows just how far gone this guy is. He was willing to risk getting kicked out just so he could keep getting into pointless arguments with strangers on Twitter. He would also deny being online on Roblox during his time away, as he didn't have access to a computer, as well as confirming it was his father's Twitter account they found, but he hasn't been in Chungus's life for 5 years. A week after he made that thread, the consequences of his actions would finally catch up to him, and his mother would drive him an hour away from her house and kick him off, then proceed to drive home. Chungus, who's now stranded, would make his way home again, only to find a bag with his stuff in it, and he realized that he had been kicked out. He then made a post saying that it wasn't his fault that much, and that his stepdad beat him 4 years ago, which would eventually lead to this happening. His slanderous coping and thieving wouldn't be tolerated though, as there is another character yet to be introduced in this season-long series. Meet Aunt Frankie. Now Aunt Frankie isn't playing around, and started exposing what had actually happened in the replies to his tweet. And she sets him straight by saying, maybe if you follow the rules that were set forth when you got out of the hospital, this all would not be happening. Maybe you should be honest with your followers and tell them that your parents did everything they could possibly to do to help you, and you took it to the extreme. Now Aunt Frankie exposes what really happened, which is that after promising to get off the internet, he would continue to break his promise and throw fits over it. He did confirm that this was his actual aunt, and complained about how his own blood was setting out to paint him as a villain, and that her response was cherry-picked, but didn't try to debunk anything she said, nor give examples of, as he puts it, handled shit worse. He continued to state how he was the victim of the situation, and whatever he did didn't warrant him getting kicked out. This has been a reoccurring pattern where he claims he owns up to his mistakes, but at the same time deflect responsibility because other people have done worse. Now Aunt Frankie was persistent and didn't take any of that shit. This was Chungus's absolute low point. He was homeless, still horribly addicted to the internet, and very angry at his family for how they treated him. Some of his followers were seemingly still on his side though, as on the Fallen Chungus Discord, some of them were in the process of doxing his aunt and started review bombing her business on Yelp. This would lead to Aunt Frankie filing a police report on Chungus over the harassment she was subjected to. Chungus's stance on this harassment he had subjected his aunt to was expressed in a Discord message stating he doesn't care if people call Aunt Frankie and that people shouldn't try to push a dox. Not because he's morally against it, but because it would complicate things. This, intentionally or not, made people start harassing poor Frankie even more, and also shows just how off the rails this guy is. He would address this situation in a tweet condemning the people harassing his aunt, likely just to save his own skin, as he had prior basically encouraged it. This leads us to the last tweet he's made so far, on the 6th of July, where he said this. Not gonna make a thread or note. I've well and truly just given up. This past week has been detrimental, and I've been contemplating almost every hour of every day. I don't want comments telling me to reconsider. I'm only letting y'all know now that where I am isn't a question. People aren't sure about if he had actually committed suicide this time, as he had made threats like this 3 times before. And the general consensus in the replies to this tweet is that he most probably hadn't gone through with it, as this is the top reply. As of recording this, it's the 10th of July, and there hasn't been an update to this final tweet for a while now. But if anything happens, I will make sure to follow. This story has been crazy. From a niche internet celebrity who's famous for starting a lot of memes and inside jokes, to being homeless and disliked, as well as possibly being dead. I'm sorry, but I just have to show how the Zodiac wiki puts these events because it's just too damn funny. Following the docs, various teens were calling and texting his mom's phone to see if Francis had actually acted or if he was just baiting for Twitter premium money. His mother received these texts, saw the thread and was shocked with her son's posts. So she interrupts Francis's Roblox sesh takes away his Twitter account and admits him into the psych ward.